we had to interview three people in the industry, get a taste for what it's like. Our marks had to be at a certain level. And I think that's it. I think that's all I had to do. You'll have to forgive me. It was a little while ago.
Hi, Jack. Welcome to the Meetup spot.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Seriously, last year I had Sean and Chris. Now I finally have Jack.
The old trio back together. Yes, good old friends.
Seriously though, before we start, how was working with Sean and Chris?
Very entertaining, I would say. I never knew what to expect every morning, especially with Sean. I mean, you've interviewed him, you know how he is. He is a barrel of laughs, and he was always so innovative. So it was really fun working with him because, like I said, you never knew what you were going to get, but you knew it was always going to be funny.
Okay. I guess yeah. This is interesting here. Okay. So Jack, let's start. Tell me about yourself and your growing up story.
I was born and raised in Edmonton,
Mm.
and I was one of those typical kids that said, I will never stay here. I'm going to move away as soon as high school's over. And I tried in the fact that I ended up right after high school modeling for quite a few years. And after that was all said and done, ended up going into broadcasting. And lo and behold, thought to myself, I actually really like working here in Edmonton and I want to raise a family here. So I am that typical person in Edmonton that says, oh, I'm never going to stay here. And then we end up staying here because we realize how incredible it is. So growing up, I was a West End girl. I went to FX, the sports school. I didn't play any sports, but I loved all those boys that did. And yeah, it was great. I loved growing up here. We lived right by West Edmonton Mall, so that was a huge part of my childhood. And yeah, I went to Nate for broadcasting school. It was a great program, and the fact that I was in and out of school in 2 years, worked a short stint in Medicine Hat, and then ended up making my way back to Edmonton for television broadcasting, and then eventually to radio broadcasting.
Oh, that is one heck of a life journey. Why'd you start with modeling?
Yeah, kind of fell into it a little bit by accident. I'm 5'10", so I've always been tall and thin my entire life. Everyone's like, you should play sports, you should go into basketball, you should go into volleyball. Unfortunately, I wasn't gifted with a lot of athleticism. So I thought, okay, after high school, I want to travel the world. I think I can do this. And so I made a go at it. And I was very lucky. I was successful. I ended up living in Italy for a little while, Tokyo, Seoul, Korea, did stunts all over the world and got to see the world. Of course, I was 18. So now, from the perspective that I am now, I would have loved it so much more. At 18, I was just worried about being home and partying with my friends. However, I was lucky enough to see a lot of the world, have some really cool experiences. I have magazines to show my kids, and I learned a lot of life lessons. I also learned that maybe it isn't such a great industry for an 18-year-old girl to be in. And so I was actually in Hong Kong when SARS broke out about 20 years ago. I was in Hong Kong during that outbreak, and it was really scary. My mom is a nurse. She said, you're coming home right now. And that was kind of the end of my modeling career. She said, you need to go to school. You need to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And I was always really good at English. I loved writing. And I thought, okay, well, I think I'm just going to be on TV. And I got quite an education that first year in school. Not everyone just goes into TV and ends up on Fox News or ends up on, E Entertainment Network, which I thought was going to happen. And I'm really glad it didn't. I'm really glad I had to work hard and actually learn the trade and learn what goes into broadcasting. So that's kind of how modeling turned into broadcasting. And I ended up taking TV for 2 years and working in television for 5 years afterwards.
So are you one of the Columbia Academy people before Nate or no?
No, I don't. I'm an alumni of Nate. I don't know what Columbia Academy is.
Well, because so far so good. I've had Sean, Chris, and Steve so far mention about Columbia Academy.
Oh,
But
yes.
yes,
Okay. And now I
yeah,
know where you're going. Yes, that school that doesn't exist anymore. That is
true.
funny. They always make a joke of it that they ruined the school, that they're not allowed to teach anymore. But yes,
Oh,
so they went to Columbia Academy. I ended up going to Nate for the 2 years.
hmm. So after modeling, you went to Nate.
Yes, yep, I did. I decided that I wanted to be in television news. And so I went to Nate. I did the 3 semesters there. And then your last semester, as far as that point, a couple of years ago, you did in the field. It was called a practicum. So I convinced a radio and TV station in Medicine Hat to hire me. They put me on air, and I loved my time. It's called Chat Television. It actually just
Yep.
closed down a couple of
Yep.
years ago, but it was a start for so many of us, just getting our feet wet in the industry, and they trusted you. Most stations in Edmonton at that point were like, "You're in school, you're not going on air." And in Medicine Hat and Chat, they were like, "We got faith in you. Go out, go do this story. Your story's due at 4 o'clock this afternoon." It was great. I was just thrown right in and I absolutely loved it. I still am in contact with a lot of the colleagues that I worked with back then.
Hmm. Well, that is one heck of an adventure. Going to Medicine Hat. So yeah, like seriously though, Edmonton to Medicine Hat, driving there must have been a pain in the butt.
I don't know if you'll understand my logic on this because I still don't understand. I still had some really great friends in Edmonton. So twice a month, I would end up driving back. I used to work at a bar called the Iron Horse. It is now MKT in Edmonton off of White Avenue. And every 2 weeks, I would drive up, do some bartending shifts to make some extra money at the Iron Horse, and end up getting my hair done by my same hairdresser, Cynthia. I was so dedicated to my life in Edmonton, but still wanted to make it work in Medicine Hat. I was living two different lives, driving 5.5 hours on that highway every 2 weeks. It was
Oh,
ridiculous, but it was worth it. Like I said, I really cut my teeth in Medicine Hat. I absolutely loved it and got a taste of the radio life as well because they were a television and radio
yep.
station. Every TV package you did, you also wrote stories for the radio. So I didn't know it then because I thought I was going to be this big TV star, but I was actually getting an education in radio, which is where I am supposed to be. And we can get to that later in this, but yeah, radio, I was always meant for radio.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay, so about Nate, which I'm thinking of going in like a few in like a few months. So what was applying to Nate like?
Oh gosh, it was very competitive. I'm trying to think what the application process was. I had to interview 3 people in the industry, and I was lucky enough at the time. There was a VJ that had come on a tour from Much Music, and she was going around all the different malls, and they were doing an Much Music video tour. And I actually ended up snagging her at the mall. I waited in line for so long and I was like, I'm going to broadcasting school and I need to interview you and talk about this industry. And she was lucky enough, or she was gracious enough to give me that interview. And that's the thing I've noticed about television is that a lot of people, and radio too, a lot of broadcasting, a lot of people are willing to help people out. And so she did. I interviewed another colleague from Calgary and I think someone here in Edmonton, but we had to interview 3 people in the industry, get a taste for what it's like. Our marks had to be at a certain level. And I think that's it. I think that's all I had to do. You'll have to forgive me. It was a little while ago, but I
Yeah.
remember getting that letter from Nate and being so excited to go into this program. I knew broadcasting was what I was meant to do. Are you excited to go to Nate?
Well, I hope so. It's been like 3 years since I left school, so yeah, it's time.
It's time. You're going to love it. The best
Oh,
part about that program, and I speak from a few years ago, but I'm sure it hasn't changed, is the fact that you're hands on. They throw you in. You get to use the equipment. You get to write these news stories. You get to be on the radio. You get to experience pretty much what it's like working every day in this industry right in school. It's not just all theory, it's hands on.
mm, and you were worried that you were not going to get accepted?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I am a worrier by trade, so I always think the worst is going to happen. But it was very competitive to get in. Everybody wanted to be on the radio or TV or work in that industry. And I believe that's still probably true. So, yeah, there were a lot of applicants every single year, and they only accepted 30. So, it was one thing for your marks to be up there. That was a big portion of it. But it was also a big thing of why do you think you should be in this industry? Do you know what it's like? It is very competitive to get into the program. It's extremely competitive to get into this industry. And do you have the chops for it?
Hmm. And how did you get over the shock at first in being in class?
Um, it was a lot. I think I just embraced it. I mean, it was a lot more. I'm trying to think of the right word. I want to say complicated, but there is a lot more behind the scenes. I think that's the best way to portray it. There's a lot more behind the scenes that you never see that goes to air. A radio show, let's say in the morning, Matt and I on Kiss and Country, you hear us from 6 to 10 in the morning and you think, oh my gosh, they're laughing, they're having so much fun, they're doing these contests. And while all of that is true, there's hours of prep work beforehand. So I did learn the art of writing a newscast, writing a story for television versus writing a story for news, but also all of that incredible stuff from editing to audio to lighting. There is so much that goes into that little portion that you see, and so many people working together for one final product. I don't think I realized that in school, and I didn't realize the technical side of it. And that part I found hard. I found it really hard to learn the audio and the editing. But that was the best part about Nate, is that you got to learn all of that stuff, and it helps me now, decades later from school. I am still using those editing skills. Then it was Final Cut Pro. I'm still using those editing skills when we do videos for the radio station, when I do videos for my own personal Instagram. Those skills were so transferable, and I'm so grateful to have learned them.
Hmm. Okay. So, Jack, why do you do what you do?
Because it makes me happy every day. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. If I'm waking up at 3 a.m. to do a radio show and I'm actually excited to get out of bed, I'm exactly in the right place. I do it because the radio brings joy to people. The amount of times that I have had emails or text messages or messages on Instagram saying, I was so sad today. So I'm going to get emotional about this. Or I was so upset over this happening in my life. And you and Matt distracted me. You and Matt made me laugh the entire way to work when I didn't think I was going to get out of bed. That is exactly why I do it.
Hmm. And I was going to ask you this earlier. Do you think people my age in their 20s or like young adults fresh from high school, do you still think that there's still those kinds of people still wanting to go to radio?
Are you asking, like, do you think that I think it's a good career path? Like, do you
I
think that
think yeah, probably. Do you think it's still a good career path? Do you think there's still people my age who wants to be on the radio?
yeah, I understand that. Yes. Yes, it has changed a lot. Being completely blunt with you, what 10 people would do even 10 years ago, now 3 people are doing. I think that's an industry that's been really changed just by budget cuts and different advertising routes. There's not as much money in it anymore. And I think that people that are going into this industry have to truly love it. They told me this when I first started, that you are not going to make a lot of money when you first get out of the gate. And it was very true. And that has not changed. Going into this industry, you never go into it for the money. You can make a lot of money, but it's not for everyone. You have to truly love the art and love what you're doing, and you'll go far. There is still, believe it or not, huge opportunities for people in radio and television. They're few and far between, but there are still huge opportunities. So if somebody really wanted to go into it, I would recommend it. There's so many different avenues and pathways as well. It doesn't have to be traditional advertising or traditional radio. There is the online content portion of it as well. And a lot of those skills you learn in radio, television, and broadcasting can transfer right onto Instagram, right onto YouTube, especially YouTube. Um, it's just about being flexible. But if you love the art, you're going to go far. You're going to be able to do it.
So basically, put your heart and soul to it. Yeah, like what my mom said so far.
I'm glad I sound like your mom. Yes, exactly. That's a smart lady there, though. But yeah, love it. Love what you do. And it's infectious. People will understand your passion and understand your love for your career and want to help you. I have been so lucky in these last years. People want to help. People want to say, like, hey, I've got this opportunity. Do you want to do this? Or I've got my uncle does this. I think you guys would be a great match to work together. And it's just, you never know where every opportunity will lead.
Hmm, I see. So how do you put your heart and soul to radio every day? Just showing up, be consistent.
Lots of coffee. Yeah, showing up and being consistent. I think that is a huge life hack. So many people are not consistent. They can keep it up for 1 or 2 weeks and they can talk a big game and they can say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and do it for a week or two. Then they fall off. It's those that are consistent that actually get far. Putting your heart and soul into something doesn't mean running yourself to the ground because you'll burn out and you're going to be of no help to yourself and no help to anyone else. But putting your heart and soul means your energy is infectious. You love what you do and you want to work. It doesn't feel like work.
Damn. Okay. Okay. I guess I guess after the TV stint went to broadcasting. What was how did you transition to it?
From television to radio,
Yes.
by accident, complete accident. And it was all about taking those opportunities. This is a perfect example. I had been working for 5 years in television and loved it. I thought, okay, you know what? Like, this is a career path that I thought I could go down. The days were a little bit draining in the fact that the difference between television and radio is the fact that television is a little more serious. And I thought, there were some doubts in my mind as to, can I chase these story leads for the rest of my life? Didn't really know. And it was Chris Sheets who ended up calling. I worked for an affiliate company of Kiss and Country. And he called my boss and he said, hey, I've seen this Jackie girl on your television station. Do you think she'd want to fill in on the radio? Our host, our female host, our newscaster is actually going on holidays for a week. And I'd love to have Jackie in for the morning. And so my boss brought it to me and he said, this is fine. This is the same company. You still have to show up to work. So you're going to be doing two jobs. But do you want to go on Kiss and Country for a week? I grew up in Edmonton and I grew up listening to Kiss and Country. So I was so excited at the opportunity. And I knew Chris Sheets. He hates when I tell people this, that I grew up listening to him, but I did. I knew exactly who Chris Sheets was. And I thought, yeah, this is a great opportunity. I've never done radio before. I've never broadcast in the mornings, but why not? What can go wrong? And so I did it. I did it for a week. And I tell you, that first shift, I was in love. I knew. I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is broadcasting, but not as serious. I get to do the news. I get to talk to people. We get to be engaged in listeners' lives. They tell you about their lives. You get to follow along when they get married and they become parents and eventually grandparents. It's just the dedication and the loyalty, especially in country radio, is so heartwarming that you get so invested in these listeners' lives. And I think Chris was the one that showed me that the most. He has been a part of people's lives for decades and such an integral part. He's with them every single morning, essentially. And they would phone him and tell them their happy news and their sad news, or just phone to catch up. And I'd never seen anything like it. And I was like, yeah, this is what's going to fill my soul. This is what I want to do. And so I did my week at Kissin' and knew, okay, how am I going to get into the radio? How am I going to do this? I don't have any radio experience at all. And I remember calling Chris and I said, I loved this week. I loved this week so much. If there's ever an opportunity, I'd love to fill in again. And he said, yeah, she's going on vacation again in a month. Do you want to fill in? And then ever since then, so she went on vacation again and I filled in. And then lo and behold, a year later, it was a year of filling in here and there on the radio station. She ended up getting a job in Calgary. And I phoned Chris and I begged him. I said, the only radio experience I have is with you, but I will do everything in my power to learn and to make myself like available for this job. I need this job. I want this job. I can do a great job. And it's a great opportunity for both of us. And bless him, he took a chance on me. The girl with no radio experience, he said, okay, you're hired. And that was that. That was 16 years ago.
Wow, that is one heck of a yeah. That's
It's just about taking those opportunities, right?
yeah.
Even when you're scared, even when you have no experience, we're so quick to tell ourselves, I could never do that. I don't have the experience. I don't have the education. They'll never hire me. And I just, for some reason, didn't listen to anything in my head and just went for it. And it is also kudos to Chris, too. He didn't have to hire me and he didn't have to take a chance. It was a big risk. And he did. And it worked out.
Hmm. And in being the radio business, you sometimes get lost in the way. you sometimes get lost in the way, and sometimes you forget why you're here in the first place. Have you dealt with that, and how do you steer it back?
It's a great question. You do. You can get so caught up in all the behind the scenes, whether it's budget cuts or whether it's deadlines or, this person isn't calling back and we need these concert tickets. There's so many factors that go into this one little factor, which is a big one on the show. So it's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to get caught up in it. I truly believe, and I'm learning this myself, is recognizing your signs of burnout, recognizing when little problems send you over the edge. That's a big indicator of like, okay, my plate is too full. So whether that's taking a personal day, whether it's getting outside, and this sounds so hippy dippy, but I believe it. Get outside in your bare feet and just breathe in. Just like get outside, go for a walk. Obviously, a walk isn't going to cure all of your problems, but your mind sometimes just needs that reset. I think just listening to your body if you're not sleeping, if you're waking up not looking forward to doing something consistently. I mean, we all have days where they're hard, but if you're waking up and you're consistently upset, if, like I said, those little things are setting you off and you just don't feel yourself, those are huge signs of burnout. Talk to your boss, talk to your friends and your family and say, hey, I need a break. And we're all different as to what those breaks look like. For me, obviously, it's the walk in the forest. But I mean, for others, it may be working out, going to the pool, just heading out on a drive, just a reset. But it's just being really in tune with yourself and not telling yourself, I'm fine, just push through. And that's been a big lesson I've learned in the last 5 years.
Hmm, I see. And I know I might be going to a different territory, but you mentioned budget cuts, and you've heard the news about Rogers. So can you explain to me how do you deal with budget cuts in your radio station?
It's terrifying. It's
Mhm.
terrifying to hear over 225 colleagues across the entire country lost their jobs in one day. And unfortunately, that is a reality in broadcasting right now. And we are hearing about it more and more. It is not, my advice is not to stick your head in the sand because I think we need to be aware of it. But in the same breath, I also think that as a broadcaster, you almost have to have a little bit of blinders on in the fact of you do your job well, you do your job to the best of your ability and be proud of your work every single day and know that you can't change it. And this is like, I'm a type A Leo eldest daughter, so I love control. So the fact that I don't have control over this, it does really bother me. And I would be lying if I didn't say that it does weigh heavy on me. These budget cuts, Chorus, our company, I think all broadcasting companies, they're struggling, but they're doing the best that they can. And in certain areas, they're actually doing really well. I know I'm in the industry of news, but often the news is doom and gloom, and it actually isn't that bad. Yes, there is a reality that that is just the state of broadcasting right now, but it's not all bad. People are still tuning in for that local radio in the morning. They're tuning in for their favorite personalities. They're tuning in for that human connection. And that's not going to change. So while other parts of the industry unfortunately are changing, I do 1,000% still believe in the power of radio and the power of television to a point as well. But that power of radio is so huge. That human connection, that local connection, it's unmatched. If you have a giant storm, what do? You turn on the radio, you see what's going on. Where is that storm going? What can I do for help? Something happens in the city, who are you calling? It's there is still the need for that. And so while these budget cuts are going on, I do have a little bit of blinders on and not letting it affect my everyday. And knowing that every single day I can walk out of Kissing Country, knowing I laid it all out there and I did the best job that I can do. And if I get let go one day, I'll know that there's nothing I could have done better.
Nice, nice, nice. Love that. Love yeah, yeah, love that. Okay. So I am honestly honestly we got to caught on the conversation. I don't know what to ask next because I don't know if these I don't know if I should still keep on asking the questions if some of them might be answered, but at least try. Um,
Yes, ask away, or I can ask you questions. I'm so curious about your journey.
oh, Oh,
I
good,
want to
good.
know why broadcasting? Why do you want to get into it?
Well, broadcasting, honestly, just got interested into radio. Just wanna do big things for myself. So it's probably that, yeah. And let's see. Other than that, before that, I got interested in radio jingles
Yes.
and yeah, and a few years ago, I thought to myself, honestly, I don't know what to do with myself. So probably radio because I'm to radio jingles. I'm to radio jingles and stuff. And last year I want to just learn what radio is sort of like. So that's why I started this podcast. I interviewed a lot of people while doing this, including Sean and Chris and even Steve Schutz and even Steve Paikin from Ontario. If you know who that is.
That is
Oh, and also Alan Cross.
fantastic.
Yeah, just getting a feel of what radio is, and honestly, I really hope I get to learn more, Nate, what the radio is like. So yeah,
Now, what have you learned from all of your interviews? What kind of advice are they giving you?
honestly, well, sure, but maybe honestly, the big thing I'm thinking of right now is that no matter the interview, just step right in. This is an opportunity.
I think that's great advice. Yeah, jump right in. the the number one thing I think I took away from doing some of those interviews is the fact that you are never too good for any job. If they want you to pull cables, if they want you to sort papers, get your foot in that door. Do it. I had so many colleagues be like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm only meant as a commercial writer, or I am only going to go on air. I knew one guy that refused to work overnights. He was like, I'm not working overnights. I am only doing this. He's not in the industry anymore. Jump at every single opportunity. You are never too good for any job. Get your foot in that door and work your way up.
Mm. Well, I really hope I said everything right because right now I tend to ramble.
No. And I'm very excited for you, Nigel. This industry is so fun, and there is so
Yeah.
many opportunities to meet incredible people. Something about broadcasting that I really realized is we're all a little bit weird. I'm sure talking to Sean, talking to Chris, like we all have that kind of like weird factor, but it works, right? And it's just, there's some really neat people in broadcasting that they're unlike anyone you've ever met, and they're always willing to help you out. I think this is a great opportunity for you, and I think you're really smart in interviewing all of these people in the industry right now. They have incredible stories and incredible experiences that you can learn from.
Definitely, definitely. So let's see. So how do you, I don't know if, I don't know. You probably answered this, but how do you stay motivated to keep doing what you do?
um there's a few factors. I'm a mom of three kids, a single mom of three kids. So I gotta work. I'm lucky that I love what I do. But I think I've got two girls and a boy. And I think, especially with my girls, also with my boy, I want to show them that sounds cliche, but it's true. There's no limits. You can do whatever you want, but you can actually love your job. I remember so many people in my family, we'd have family reunions or family get togethers, and they'd be like, oh, work again on Monday. Like, oh, here we go again. And I just thought, like, I never want to live my life like that. And so I wanted to show, and I want to show my daughters and my son that, heck, if you love something, you can make it into a job. And even when you've got that self doubt, because we all do, everyone says, Jackie, you're so confident. Absolutely not. We're all faking it till we make it. and, and sometimes it just actually works out. So I think that's what motivates me is being the living example to my kids that you can do exactly what you want, how you want it, make a life out of it, and still have that balance with family, friends, and your career. You truly can have it all. I hate when people say you have to choose between your family or your career. No, you don't. You get to make it work for all of us.
Nice, nice. Love that. Yeah, love that lesson. Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, make it work. I mean, it's tough, it's hard, and I'd be lying if I said there weren't days where I was like, am I doing this? Like, this is right, right? And then there's always signs. I'm very spiritual. There's always signs. I always look for the number 13. And lo and behold, I'll be, working at the Big Valley Jamboree, standing beside booth 13. I'm like, yep. I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Hmm. Okay. How do you ensure that your on-air persona and your real-world self are the exact same person?
No lying. No lying. You and no masking. And that's hard. That's really hard. I have been through a divorce. I've been through a brutal breakup lately. And it's just, you want to mask and pretend that everything's fine and everything's great, but you can't because you're human. And that's never going to fly. People can tell when you're faking, people can tell when you're not being genuine. The best compliment I got recently, somebody said, "Oh my gosh, Jackie, you're the exact same on the radio as you are in person." And it's like, I was taken aback. It's like, that is the best compliment you could ever give someone. Who I am on air, who I am on Instagram, that is exactly who you get in real life. And it's a whole lot less exhausting because if you're trying to mask and trying to have this perfect curated life that's not real, that's exhausting to keep up. I was going to say, we all get divorced. We don't all get divorced. But a lot of us get divorced. A lot of us have challenges with kids. A lot of us are exhausted. So many of us are going through bad breakups. And just to sweep it under the rug and just be like, yeah, it's fine. That's a lie. It's not. Am I heartbroken? Yes. Am I getting over it? Heck yes. Was it the best thing for me? Yes. But at the time, it didn't feel like it. And I'm so glad that I was honest with people and said, like, yeah, I'm sad. I'm heartbroken. Same with my divorce. And Bobby, my ex-husband, was a huge, I was going to say character, but a huge person on Kissing Country. We'd phone him. He was funny. People knew him at Big Valley Jamboree. So when things didn't work out with us, that was a hard pill to swallow. And I couldn't just sweep it under the rug and say, oh yeah, Bobby, we don't talk about him anymore. I'm very lucky that him and I are amicable. We've worked very hard, a lot of therapy, to become the best co-parents that we can be. And I think I'm confident in saying like we're friends. He's a friend of mine. So to show people that you can do it and it's not easy, but these things happen in our lives. And when both sides are willing to work towards it and both sides are mature, there is a pathway through, whether it be that divorce, that bad breakup, there's always a way through and you're never alone. I think that's the best part about radio is you never ever feel alone.
Nice.
So you gotta be real. You gotta be real. You can't lie, Nigel. That's like on air. You cannot lie.
Wow.
Because they'll sniff you out. They'll know.
Hmm. What is the most memorable experience of your job?
Ooh, that's a tough question. And you're gonna laugh because I think all of them involve Chris Sheets. That boy and his radio stunts, just ridiculous. I think one of the most memorable is we were raising money for the Hope Mission. This would have been a long time ago. We wanted to raise $103,000 for the Hope Mission here in Edmonton because Kissin' Country 103.9. And Chris had this great idea to put us up in it's not a crane, it's like a boomer. I don't know what it's called. A boom, maybe? No, it would be, I want to say a crane, but it's not a crane. It's just like one of those things, those huge equipment things that you see that they have like a little basket at the top. And so we were 103 feet in the air. And for every $1,000 that we raised, we would go down 1 foot. And so we wanted to raise 103 grand so that we could hit the ground again and be back on the ground. So we were up there for 24 hours, just Chris and I and a guy from the company. And I felt so bad because for safety reasons, he had to be there. And this is so TMI. We were literally like peeing in a bucket and like putting it down, like bringing it down. It was just horrendous. Chris is a starfish sleeper. So we were just like in this tiny crane, like sleeping in the corner. And Chris is just like so happy, just sleeping starfish overnight. We were broadcasting the whole time. That is an experience I will never forget.
Holy, that high?
103 feet in the air. Yeah.
Okay, and what was that for again?
Oh, it was for the Hope Mission. So now on Kissin' Country, every year for the Hope Mission, we actually are spending time on the field at Commonwealth Stadium. So Matt and I we're still sleeping over everywhere. We sleep over on the field, right on the field at Commonwealth Stadium. And for every $1,000 raised, we move 1 yard down the field. So we want to go there and back. So 110 yards there, 110 yards back. And we've been so lucky in the fact that Edmonton is more than generous. There have been multiple years where we have raised upwards of $300,000 every single year for the city's homeless, the city's less fortunate, and all of the incredible things that the Hope Mission does. So I think my most memorable experiences are always what we end up doing for charity and all those radio stunts.
Hmm. Oh, and speaking of Chris Sheets, were you also there where he where yeah, were you also there when Chris Sheets hanged Sean's mug up in outside the window?
His mug?
Yeah. Where Chris Sheets hanged Sean's mug outside the window. He talked about this last year.
I don't think I was there for that. And
Oh,
I'm glad. Those two were so funny together. The antics that they pulled on each other, and they were always trying to get each other back. They were a lot of fun working with the three of them. I only worked with Chris, Sean, and Matt for a couple of years. Then it was just Chris and I, and then it moved to Chris, Jack, and Matt. But yeah, those 2 years, they were my first years in radio. And let me tell you, I learned a lot of lessons fast. They were
dang.
hilarious.
Okay. One of the things that you do outside of being a radio DJ is volunteering for organizations such as Stollery, Valley Zoo Development Society, and the Edmonton Food Bank. Tell me about it.
I love it. I think it's really important to give back. And you'll find that in radio too. There's a lot of opportunities to give back, whether it be emceeing at events. Just yesterday morning, I was emceeing a race. It was the Edmonton Ice Cream Run and giving back to the Mountain Gorilla Conservation Society. So there's a lot of opportunities for volunteer work. A lot of times it would be, volunteering your spare time, whether it's at Santa's Anonymous, sorting toys or delivering toys. The Edmonton Food Bank, every year I host their harvest luncheon. Edmonton Valley Zoo, I used to sit on their board. You just find the charities and the organizations that you're passionate about, and you donate your time. And there's no better feeling. People laugh like, "Oh, of course, there's no better feeling than giving back," but it's true. You're having a bad day. Oh my gosh, volunteer an hour anywhere. It just turns it around. It feels so much better. People give so much to us in the radio. We're always asking for donations to the Stollery, donations to the Hope Mission. It's the least we can do in giving back to our community. And it's tenfold. You feel so great. You meet incredible people, and you know that you're making a difference in the community.
Mm, I see. And I gotta say, speaking of volunteer, I do that with the Leduc Arts Foundry and being a local Toastmasters member. This was originally
No
a
way.
podcast. Yeah.
It is awesome. Never stop. Never stop. It is the best thing you can do for yourself and for your community, and a great example to your friends and family as well.
Nice. Jack, right now it's tough for people these days to find jobs. If they want to go the same path, what are the things they can do right now to practice?
Oh, good question. I would say build up your resume as much as you can with education, especially editing. I think having those editing skills, I'm seeing there is a real, as far as um, our industry, there is a real lack of professionals who can edit videos for radio stations, like a content manager. We're finding it really hard and really difficult to fill those positions. I would say I don't know if television stations and radio stations allow people to volunteer anymore. I know there's street team positions. That would be a huge recommendation that I would say is get on the street team at your local radio station, get to know the people at the station, get to know the managers. As I said, get your foot in that door. And then you get to go to all the festivals, you get to be at the events. Love your job. So many times we have street team members that aren't really that excited to be there, and it shows. And then people just aren't excited. Your job in that role is to be excited about where you are and what you're doing. So I would say get as much education as you can, especially when it comes to content, whether that be editing, whether that be audio, or the whole realm of it. Be so proficient on your phone. That's such a skill to have. It sounds so silly. I remember my parents rolling their eyes when I was like part of MySpace. And I'm like, this is going to be the future. Social media is going to be it. They're like, yeah, sure. And I'm so glad that I learned how to do all of that content. So yeah, education and get on that street team.
Nice. Oh, two things. Well, yeah, social media is the future. MySpace isn't anymore, I guess.
I know. It's so true. MySpace, I don't even know if it's still around. Where did Tom go? If you know that reference, you're old like me. But Yeah, social media isn't going anywhere. And as much as people, and let me tell you, even recently, people will try and bring you down for social media. They will try and say, like, oh, you're so cringe. Oh, you live your life for other people. It's like, no way, no way. This is your brand and you own it. And you can make very good money on social media. And it's a huge support system. A lot of people view social media, and it depends on your algorithm as well, and you can curate that for yourself. A lot of people view it as bad. It can be so supportive. The messages that I have received and that I have given on social media are so heartwarming and so supportive that no matter what you're going through, you are never alone. There is somebody that has experienced or is experiencing that right with you. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Hmm. Okay. All right. What does the work you do right now mean to you?
Everything. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of that morning show that Matt and I have created. It's weird, it's funny, it's enlightening. It's Matt and I are very different individuals. I am cup half full, he is cup half empty, but it works in the fact that he'll bring me down to earth and I'll raise him up a little bit. He needs a little more positivity and maybe I need a little reining in every so often, but I am so proud of that morning show. It is so funny. I am often running, like my mascara is running from cry laughing. We have so much fun together. I trust Matt with my life. He is an incredible human being and he's so smart and he knows what works. If I did the show, it would be all sunshine and rainbows and everything would be great. And he just knows how to bring that weird factor and that grit, and it's great. I love it. I'm so proud of that morning show on Kiss and Country. And the feedback that we get, I know we're making a difference. I know we're making people happy. I know people love following along and telling us their stories and being a part of the show. It's the greatest feeling.
Hmm. Okay. How will radio continue to be important in the changing times?
Big changes. There's big changes. As I mentioned before, there are less people doing more jobs. And I think that's just the reality of how it's going to be. I don't think that's ever going to go back to how it was. But I do believe that people need the radio. People need the radio for the information. They need the radio for that local connection. And again, that human connection. We are not meant to be alone. We are not meant to be these lone soldiers just going about on our days. We need connection. We need laughter. We need involvement and friendship. And we're not going to get that from a computer, no matter how much we want it, no matter how much we think that it's fine. That human connection is so important. So when people call our number and we answer, they're telling us about the accident that's just happened, or the storm, or they just had a baby. That's never going to go away. That local perspective is so important. And I do believe radio may change a little bit, but that part is never going to change.
Hmm. And despite everything happening, do you still see a future in radio?
Yeah, I do. I mean, glass half full, shocker.
Hmm.
But I do. People come to radio for so many different reasons. And I believe as a radio broadcaster, you do have to be adaptable. I mean, maybe it's not radio that it was 20 years ago, in the early 2000s. It's not the same format. We're not talking as long in our breaks. But if you've got it, you've got it. And especially in country radio, those listeners are so loyal because it's more than just listening to the radio. We're friends. People come up to us in the mall and ask us questions about our lives and vice versa. When I was emceeing that race yesterday, I saw so many kissing listeners, but kissing friends that I could ask about their lives and ask about their kids. There's nothing like that. Radio's not going anywhere.
Hmm. All right, and I guess that's it. And I guess that's it for the questions. Are you ready for quick fire? Answer questions quickly in under 90 seconds.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Okay. All right. One word to describe yourself.
Excited.
Hmm. What is your best radio DJ tip?
Get your foot in the door.
Hmm. Best artist you love to listen to.
Oh, you know what? It's not even country, the kind of country. Fleetwood Mac.
Hmm. Oh. One everyday item you can't leave without.
Mascara.
Hmm.
So stupid.
Mantra in life.
Everything is figure outable.
Oh, wow. Best place in Edmonton for a good meal.
Ooh, I love Chiantis, and they have a great pasta deal.
Hmm. Best place in Alberta to go road tripping or travel.
I love Canmore.
Oh, one song that uplifts you.
Eric Church, Springsteen.
Hmm. Best lesson you learned in being a broadcaster.
Ooh, I'd say treat everyone well because one day they'll be your boss.
Definitely. Your biggest. Oh yeah. But never mind. Your biggest inspiration in broadcasting.
Locally, it would be Chris Sheets, which I know that sounds corny, but it is. It's
Hmm.
Chris. That connection he has with people, there's nothing like it. Incredible.
Nice. And did I hear you and Chris Sheets cross paths once in your childhood?
Yes. My ex-husband Bobby and Chris used to be neighbors in Thorsby together.
Oh.
How crazy is that? And we did not know this until Bobby and I were dating, and Chris, when I were working, and he just said, "Hey, we know each other." And yeah, so Chris used to babysit my husband.
Nice, nice.
Crazy.
Okay. All right. Are you ready for the screenshot just on Zoom?
Yes. What do I have to do?
Just look in the camera.
Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
All right, here we go. Ready? Again, Jack. Thank you for coming to the meetup spot. This was a fun talk.
This was awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. And here's my mom moment. I'm so proud of you. Like, this is awesome. Never stop doing this. You are going to learn so much. And I'm really excited for you to get into this broadcasting field. I'm sure we'll be working together.
I don't know. I'm not into country
Oh, come
except
on.
for
We'll switch you
Shania,
over.
except for Shania. Or yeah.
Hey, get your foot in that door.
Okay, okay, thanks. And any last thoughts or comments? I guess,
No,
or did I
just
say that already?
thank you for having me. And yeah, if you're thinking of going into broadcasting, just make sure you love it. But it's been the most rewarding and best industry for my life. And I think that it will be for yours too.
Thanks. And anywhere we can find you?
Yes, everywhere. Of course, on Kiss and Country 103.9, I host the morning show from 6 to 10 with Matt on weekdays. And then on Instagram, I feel like that is where you get the real insight into my life. You can find me at Jax, JACKS 1313. And I also have a website, jacksweeney.ca.
Hmm. Yeah. Again, thank you for coming to the meetup spot.
Thank you for having me.
All right.